I was working the night shift at the local police station, just doing my usual rounds when we got this call from a woman who sounded like she was in a total panic. She was babbling about how there was someone in her house, how she could hear footsteps and whispers coming from the shadows. Normally, we get these kinds of calls all the time, people freaking out over nothing, their minds playing tricks on them in the dead of night. But there was something about this woman's voice, like she was genuinely terrified for her life. Me and my partner, we hop in the cruiser and head over to her place. When we get there, the place is dead quiet, like a tomb in the middle of the night. We knock on the door, calling out to the woman inside, but there's no answer. We try the door, and to our surprise, it's unlocked. We exchange a glance, both of us feeling a little uneasy, but we push the door open and step inside, our flashlights cutting through the darkness like knives. The place is a mess, furniture overturned, papers scattered all over the floor like someone had ransacked the place looking for something. We call out again, louder this time, but still there's no response. And then, just as we're about to search the rest of the house, I hear a faint whisper coming from somewhere in the darkness. My partner hears it too, his eyes widening in fear as we both train our flashlights on the source of the sound. It's coming from the basement. It's coming from the basement. We exchange a look, both of us knowing what we have to do. We make our way down the stairs, the air growing colder with each step, until we reach the bottom and shine our lights into the darkness. And that's when we see her, the woman from the call, huddled in the corner, her eyes wide with fear as she stares back at us. But there's something off about her, something not quite right. I call out to her, asking if she's okay, but she just shakes her head, mumbling something about how she's not alone, how there's something else down there with her. And then, before we can react, she ran towards the exit and she's disappeared into thin air right in front of our eyes. We search the basement top to bottom, but there's no sign of her anywhere, like she was never even there to begin with. We call for backup, searching the surrounding area for any trace of the woman, but it's like she vanished into thin air. To this day, I still don't know what happened to her, whether she was telling the truth, or if it was just some kind of elaborate hoax. But one thing's for sure, I'll never forget the fear in her eyes, the sense of dread that hung in the air like a thick fog. And I can't help but wonder, what else is out there, lurking in the darkness, waiting to be discovered by unsuspecting souls like ourselves? It was a regular night patrol, cruising around the quiet streets of our town, keeping an eye out for any troublemakers or anything out of the ordinary. Everything seemed normal at first, just the usual routine, checking in on businesses, making sure everything was locked up tight for the night. But then, as we're driving down this deserted road on the outskirts of town, my partner and I see something that stops us dead in our tracks. There's this figure standing on the side of the road, just staring off into the distance like it's lost in thought or something. At first, we think maybe it's just some drunk guy stumbling home from the bar, but as we get closer, we realize there's something off about him. For one thing, he's wearing this old-fashioned suit, like something straight out of the 1920s or something. And his face, man, it's like a blank slate, no expression whatsoever, just this empty void staring back at us. We pull over, shining our flashlights on the guy, and asking if he's okay. But he doesn't say a word, just keeps staring off into the darkness like he's in a trance or something. My partner tries to get him to talk, asking him where he's headed, or if he needs a ride, but still, nothing. It's like he's not even there, like he's just this empty shell of a person. And then, just when we're about to give up and call for backup, the guy starts walking towards us, slow, deliberate steps that send a chill down my spine. We back up, telling him to stay where he is, but he just keeps coming, his eyes locked on us like we're prey, and he's the hunter. I don't know what came over me, but I felt this overwhelming sense of dread, like I was staring into the face of pure evil. And then, without warning, he lunges at us, his hands reaching out like claws as he grabs hold of my partner and pulls him into the darkness. I try to grab him, to pull him back, but it's like he's been swallowed whole by the night itself. And then, just like that, he's gone, disappeared into thin air without a trace. We call for backup, searching the area for any sign of my partner, but it's like he was never even there to begin with. And as I stand there in the darkness, alone and afraid, I can't help but wonder what was that thing, and where did it take my partner? After my partner vanished into thin air, I was left standing there in shock, my mind racing with fear and confusion. I couldn't comprehend what had just happened. How could someone disappear like that right in front of my eyes? I called for backup, my voice trembling as I relayed what had occurred to the dispatcher. Within minutes, more units arrived on the scene, scouring the area for any sign of my missing partner. But despite our efforts, there was no trace of him anywhere. As the hours passed and the search continued fruitlessly, a sense of despair settled over me like a suffocating blanket. I couldn't shake the feeling of guilt gnawing at my insides. Why hadn't I been able to protect my partner? What had that silent stalker done to him? Days turned into weeks, and still, there was no sign of my partner. The investigation hit a dead end, with no leads or evidence to follow. The other officers tried to console me, telling me it wasn't my fault, but the guilt weighed heavily on my shoulders, a constant reminder of my failure to protect my partner. But just when I had resigned myself to the possibility that I would never see him again, something unexpected happened. I received a call from an unknown number late one night. "Hello," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. There was a moment of silence on the other end of the line, and then a voice spoke, a voice that sent a shiver down my spine. "It's me," the voice said, faint and distant, like it was coming from another world. "I'm alive." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It was my partner, his voice filled with a mixture of relief and fear. "Where are you?" I asked, my heart racing with hope. But before he could answer, the line went dead, leaving me with more questions than answers. I tried calling the number back, but it was like it had never existed in the first place. Despite the uncertainty, a flicker of hope ignited within me. I refused to give up on my partner, determined to uncover the truth behind his disappearance and bring him home, no matter the cost.